Hello, all of you beautiful third graders out there. My name is Mrs. Cool. I'm the reading coach at J.B. Fisher Elementary School. This week, we are going to draw conclusions in poetry. And I am so excited to share some of my favorite poems with you. I'm going to share my screen, and I want you to think about, what is a conclusion? Okay, I think we are ready to go. We're going to start with our learning target for the week. I can draw conclusions using evidence from the text and my background knowledge while reading poetry. So, what is a conclusion? A conclusion is something you figure out that is not directly stated or explained in the text. How do we draw conclusions? We use clues from the text and our own background knowledge to draw a conclusion. Good readers make inferences and draw conclusions while they read. That is, we take what we have learned from the text and what we already know and draw conclusions. Like when we're solving a puzzle or a riddle, our minds search for clues, connections, and information that we can use to clarify or help us better understand what is happening in a text. It's helpful to use a graphic organizer like this one to draw conclusions. We can record clues from the text, what we already know, to help us draw a conclusion. And we're going to use a graphic organizer like this during the week. So the genre that we are going to study is poetry. Poetry is a type of fiction writing that is usually very artistic. It attempts to stir a reader's imagination or emotions. The poet does this by carefully choosing and arranging language for its meaning, sound, and rhythm. Some poems, such as nursery rhymes, are simple and humorous. Some features of poetry include poetry is written in stanzas, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Sometimes poems rhyme, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they include figurative language and imagery. But poetry can be tricky. And in order to understand poetry, we have to make inferences and draw conclusions. We're going to start with one of my favorite poets. Her name is Eloise Greenfield. And we're going to read a couple of poems from this book, one of her books, Honey, I Love, and Other Love Poems. We're going to start with this poem called Things. But first I want to talk about stanzas. This poem is divided into 3 stanzas. Stanzas are groups of lines in the poem. So if you look at the first 5 lines, that's stanza 1. The second group of 5 lines, that's stanza 2. And the third group of 5 lines is stanza 3. So I'd like you to listen and follow along as I read the poem Things by Eloise Greenfield. Went to the corner, walked in the store, bought me some candy, ain't got it no more, ain't got it no more. Went to the beach, played on the shore, built me a sand house, ain't got it no more, ain't got it no more. Went to the kitchen, laid down on the floor, made me a poem, still got it, still got it. So we're going to look at each stanza and draw conclusions about each stanza. So I want you to look back at stanza 1. What does it say in the text? It says that the girl went to the store and bought some candy, but she doesn't have it anymore. So let's look at this graphic organizer and record information together. So as I said, in this graphic organizer, in the first column, we're going to record what the poem says. Then in the second column, we'll talk about what we already know about this, and then draw a conclusion. So stanza 1, we know the poem says that she bought her candy at the store, but she doesn't have it anymore. What we know about this is children love candy, and it's hard to save. At least I know it is for my children. And what I can conclude about this is that the little girl ate the candy she bought at the store. If we look back at stanza 2, we know that the little girl is at the beach and she built a sand house, which is like a sandcastle. So if we go back to our graphic organizer, in the first column, under stanza 2, we can say she's at the beach and she doesn't have her sand house anymore. Well, what do I know about this? At the beach, we're by the ocean, and the ocean waves knock things over. So what I can conclude is the ocean waves wiped out her sand house. And in stanza 3, let's go back for a minute. We know from the text that she writes a poem, and she still has it. So back to the graphic organizer, she still has her poem. That's what the text says. What I know about this is when we write things down, we can keep that writing safe and we can keep it forever. And so what I can conclude is that nothing can take this poem away from her. So we're going to try drawing conclusions again with another poem from the book, Honey, I Love. This one is called Keepsake. And I'd like you to, again, read along with me. Keepsake by Eloise Greenfield. Before Mrs. Williams died, she told Mr. Williams when he gets home to get a nickel out of her navy blue pocketbook and give it to her sweet little gingerbread girl. That's me. I ain't never going to spend it. So I want you to look at this graphic organizer again, and I want you to think, why do you think she won't spend that nickel? And if you want to try this on your own or with an adult that's with you, you can either print the graphic organizer that's on your learning path, or you can just simply take a piece of paper and divide it into 3 parts like this. And you can reread the poem and record your thoughts, what the poem says, what you know about this, and draw a conclusion about why she won't spend that nickel. You can pause the video now and work on that. So here's what I was thinking about the poem Keepsake. The poem says that she received the nickel from Mrs. Williams before she died. What I know about this is that we often treasure gifts from people after they've passed. They remind us of that person. So what I concluded was that the nickel became something very, very special to the little girl. And although a nickel might not seem like a lot, it's only 5 cents, she wasn't going to spend that nickel because it was special and it became a keepsake. And that's the title of the poem. And I want to talk a little bit about what a keepsake is, what that means. A keepsake is something that you keep to help you remember a person, a place, or an event. So today, for your reading response, I want you to think about keepsakes. Do you have a keepsake? I'd like you to describe this object and explain why it is special to you. I have special keepsakes from trips that I've been on that help me to remember special times with my family. So it could be something like that or something that was given to you. But think of something that is a keepsake that is very special to you. After you've completed your reading response, you also have some independent practice. The independent practice is on a website called commonlit.org. You can either go to commonlit.org or you can print out the assignment from the learning path. And I want to show you real quick what it looks like. This is what your assignment's going to look like. The poem is called Dragonfly by Bill Johnson. And you can see on the side there are guiding questions, assessment questions, discussion questions that you can complete either online or, like I said, you can print a copy and work on the copy at home. I've had a wonderful time with you all today, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow to read some more poems. Have a great day. Bye.